Welcome to the one and only Team 2.
G'day guys, how are we? Welcome to Talking Boxing. It is Monday, July 17th, 2023, and great to have you all along. I see that Carl Hansen is in the chat already. G'day, mate. Got to interview Jason Maloney last week. Pretty laid-back guy, mate. He's a champion guy, and it doesn't surprise me that he did an interview with you because he's such a great guy. Never says no to anybody, so I'll have to check it out, mate. Is it on YouTube? Let me know, and I'll look it up and have a look at it. Yes, nice intro. Thanks, mate. Did that all myself. Geez, I'm a clever boy sometimes, aren't I? But thanks, everyone, for joining in. As I said, it's Monday, July 17th. I've got another big show tonight. G'day to you, Frank. Yep, all is good, mate. And just on the thanks for commenting about the content. I do have to apologise. On Friday, I didn't do the weekly roundup. There's a bit going on, so I didn't get to do it. But we'll get that back on track as soon as possible, and really good viewership for that as well. So thanks to everyone for logging on and watching that show that we've only introduced a couple of weeks ago. All right, so this week we've got obviously all the big news. The Tasman Fighters fight event on the weekend. The No Limit shows that have been announced, 4 shows coming up over the next few weeks. First one on Wednesday, so they didn't muck around. George Cambosa's fights this weekend, so really looking forward to getting over there. And something a little bit different tonight. What I've done is gone through each division and worked out or looked at some of the best matchups, all Aussie matchups that might be coming on, but hopefully will be coming to fruition this year or next year or whenever it might be. So some really good juicy matchups out there. So as I said, I'll go through the ones I've got. If you guys want to add to that, no drama. But I've just gone from division to division. Some of them are a little bit pie in the sky because there's some issues with promotional companies and you know what I mean in the industry. But you never know. Frank, bring back the quiz. My man Tassie is hurting at the moment and needs a win. Yeah, well, he got his ass handed to him in the last couple, didn't he, from Mike Altamura. So we'll bring it back, mate. That's probably one of the reasons why I have started the weekly roundup, because everyone's just had a little bit going on lately. Tassie's works all hours, and Mike's had the show in conjunction with Peter as well. So we will try and get it going if we can, Frank. But it's just sometimes hard to get everyone together at the right time. But you're right about Tassie. Every time I talk to him, he asks about the quiz. When can we get it going? And we will get it up and going again soon. Something else we're going to do tonight, if he does come on. I was contacted by a gentleman by the name of Michael Vukovic. I've known Michael for a few years. When I was doing my promotions, he'd provide the ring and production, a few other bits and pieces. A little bit frustrated. He contacted me over the weekend and asked if he could just come on tonight. He manages a young boxer named John Manu, really good young prospect. I think he's 9-1, I think he is. Really good young guy. Obviously a real threat to some boxers out there. He's a little bit frustrated. He's not really getting a lot of love from some opponents out there. He's throwing out the challenge to everyone, so he wanted to come on. It's not something we really do. The Fight Call Out channel's been over for a couple of years now, but we'll see if he wants to come on quickly. We'll see what he has to say, and he can throw out some challenges if he wants. It's a free country, so he can come on and have his say about what's happening with his fighter, John Manu. But we'll see how we go. Carl, what do you got there, mate? The interview is on a British friend of mine's channel called Rapstar. Okay, I do follow obviously Jason on social media, so I'm not sure he shared that, Carl, but I'll get on there and check it out. So that's the name of the channel, is it? Rapstar. British friend of mine's. Okay, so that's his name, Rapstar. So check it out, Jason Maloney. As I said, mate, he never says no to anybody. So a great guy is Jason. So just before we get going too, guys, I just want to let you know some good news and bad news. The good news, well, the bad news is unfortunately we're not going to have a show for a couple of weeks. This show I'm talking about. The good news is because I'm going to be over in the States. I'm heading off on Wednesday. I've decided to go over for the big doubleheader. I'm heading to Shawnee, Oklahoma, for starters, to watch George Kambosos up against Maxi Hughes, and we'll have a look at that fight a little bit later on in the show. And then back across to Las Vegas for Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. So there's some pretty exciting fights coming up, of course. So, as I said, and I will be covering them on this channel, so make sure you look out. As you know, I do the daily vlog, so make sure you check that out. I'm gone for a couple of weeks, so every day we'll put up that little video that we do. We get a lot of feedback about it. I really appreciate it too. I know a lot of you are really happy to be on the inside. Got to thank Nick Noonan, boy at Noonan as well. He's hooked me up with a press credential over there in Oklahoma for George Kambosos. So I'm sure I'll get to meet George and the team. So we're really looking forward to that one. So as I said, no show for 2 weeks, but the vlogs will be on every day starting probably be this Thursday, I suppose, because the Wednesday with the time difference. Anyway, I think it will come out Thursday, probably about 7 o'clock at night they'll come out. So keep a lookout for those. So George Kambosos first, and then back across the country, back to Las Vegas, to T-Mobile Arena for the big Terrell Spence and Terence Crawford, Errol Spence fight. So looking forward to that one. Frank, was explained to my network that your promotion shows were great back in the day, all 50-50 domestic starts, but great crowd. It was far away from the biker crowd you see these days. Well, thanks, Frank. Look, we really tried hard, and look, it's not easy to always put on the best fights, I will say, because you've got a lot of fighters. The pool's not as deep as a lot of people might think, and a lot of fighters are linked with different promotional firms, and it's a little bit political. But we always tried our best. We always look for 50-50 fights. Even our own fighters, if they come on board to our stable, they're always told that you take 50-50 fights or go off and find someone else who'll be happy to put you in with someone from one of those minor countries that we seem to get over here all the time and get like Christians to the slaughter with the Lions. So we always tried to do that, Frank. Look, there were times where you get late replacements or pull-outs or injuries or whatever might happen, and you got to have a late replacement. That does happen, but we never purposely tried to match our guys with overmatched fighters from those countries from overseas. So I really appreciate that, Frank. It's not easy to do promotions. I'll take my hat off to all promoters, by the way, because it is not easy, and they all do a hell of a job and keep the sport going in this country. So. All right, guys. So let's get into the show. We've talked for a little bit too long just on the normal happenings. Keep the comments coming there, guys. If you're new to the show, this is your show. Put your comments down below. I have a little bit of a rundown. As I said, we'll go through the Tasman fighters and no limit cards coming up. And as I said, my dream fights, I suppose, if you will. But this is your show. Put in there what you want to talk about. And as it says there, let's talk some boxing. So on the weekend, I'm going to grab up the event from the weekend just so we'll go through it. As I said, we will get Michael Vukovic on at some stage in the next sort of 10 minutes or so, but if he comes on, so we'll cut to him. Let's go to the webcam here. Let's have a look. All right, so you can see there, a really good card from Tasman Fighters. It was their first DAZN event. I thought they did a really, really good job. Really, look, I don't know what it is with Queensland boxing, whether it be Tasman Fighters or Ace Boxing. Always great cards, fantastic 50-50 cards. There was, look, probably, where was it? The first couple of fights, okay, maybe, who knows the circumstances there. Alexander Morovic with, the second round knockout of James Stevens. He was a little bit overmatched, was Stevens, but it is what it is. I'm not sure what happened there. But, look, not a bad way to start the show. Tyler Blizzard, I think he's the Tasmanian. I think Tassie told me he's a Tassie boy. So I had the fifth round stoppage over Shamil, is it Ram Anuj there? So that sort of got the show going, sort of get everyone to warm up. Then we're into the main fights, and it was a really, really good card. You can see there Jake Wiley, a really good fight over Bo Woods. Stopped him in the 8th round. He took some punishment. Bo Woods, I think he's another Tassie boy as well. Really impressed with Jake Wiley. Of course, he has a win over Dana Coolwell as well. And I thought he fought really well. He's going to take some stopping, is Jake Wiley. He's a super lightweight there, so 140. And Bo Woods, really warriors. You can see there he was 5-0. Jake Wiley was 9-1. As I said, a really, really good, tough, solid slog. And I thought both had their moments, but really impressed with Jake Wiley. He's got really, really good managers and trainers up there at Fortitude with Steve Della and Luke Meldon. And I can't remember now, Jake, I think Luke's his trainer. They have another guy now. I can't remember his name, so I know he's the trainer at Connor Wallace, even though put it in there. But either way, the whole Fortitude boxing team, really, really good team up there, and just a really good win over Beau Woods. As I said, an 8th round stoppage there. So a couple of comments. We'll keep going there. Bud Crawford all day against Spence. Yeah, we'll go over that a little bit later on, with some predictions and what you guys think. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going over there with no favoritism. I'm just going over there to watch a great fight. And that was the same as when I went to see Lomachenko and Haney. Not really stressed about who wins and why. Just wanted two great fighters up against each other, and boxing is the winner. So I'm not really stressed about who wins. I'm not quite sure who wins, by the way, Frank, I will say. I might have a bit of a think about it, and as I said, we might analyse it a little bit more later on in the show, but just going to be a great event. So what are we, 2 weeks away? So fingers crossed, no dramas. James Daly, how are you, James? Welcome to the show. Crawford to outclass Spence. There's been a bit of that for Terence Crawford. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Look, the one thing I will say is I think Errol Spence is a big welterweight, where obviously Terence Crawford's coming up from lightweight all the way. Well, he's progressed, of course. But that's probably the one thing I would give the advantage to Errol Spence, but going to be a great fight. So, as I said, we'll go back over that later on in the show. Back onto this event here. So Bryce McLaughlin, 8-round decision over Hayden Emerson. Really, really good fight, I thought. So Bryce McLaughlin moves to 5-1. Hayden Emerson drops to 3-1. Just a really good fight. Just, again, another really good, tough, competitive fight. And that was the AMBF, so the Queensland middleweight title. So, look, just a couple of really good, strong, game battlers. I won't say any of them are probably going to go to international level at this stage, but just a really good, solid fight. And it's good to see that Tasman fighters are taking these types of guys, building the stable, adding to it, and coming up with these type of fights. Then we're into the semi-main event. Dana Coolwell, I'm going to call him Dana Coolwell, moved to 11-2 with a really strong 10-round decision over Manuel Mate. So a really good fight. We'll come back to that, guys. We've got Michael Vukovic about to join us. If I can get him to come in there. Not sure whether he can see us there. We'll bring him in. All I can see is a logo at the moment. We'll see what happens. Michael, are you there? No, he's muted himself. I don't know what's going on there. Michael, you're going to have to jump back out, mate. I've got you on there. If you can hear me, I can't hear you. So try again. We'll see how we go. Anyway, I'll get him out of there. We'll see how... If you're listening, Michael, you've got to unmute yourself, mate. I'm not sure what's happened there. All right. Big J, how are you, mate? What do we got there? Hey, mate, is there, highly doubt it, going to be any talk about the OnlyFans girl fight, getting her boobs out after a BS win on that crap DAZN show on the weekend? Yeah, we will get that on there, mate. I'm going to get Michael back just in a sec here, mate, but I don't know if you can... where are we? Are you there, Michael?
I am there. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, mate. I can't see you, but I can hear you. That's probably good enough. You're not the best looking bloke, so it's probably good.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate that.
Well, as I said, mate, we can't see you there, but it's all good. The main thing is we can hear you. So, Michael, I've given you a little bit of introduction earlier, mate, and I just said that, look, you're the manager of John Manu. You've been there for a while. He's obviously really good, young, talented fighter. I think is he 9-1 or 10-1 now?
He's 8-1-1.
8-1-1. Okay, so look, I'll put it out there to everyone. We haven't discussed this. I just said before you messaged me over the weekend, wanted to come on the show. You're a little bit frustrated, and if you don't know anything about John, guys, I've promoted John a couple of times. He's a great young talent. Had a recent win overseas in Canada. Went to the States and lost that one, but has come back with a win. He's a really good young talented guy, very talented. Really good reputation in the industry. Michael, mate, you're a little bit frustrated. You're finding it hard to get fights for John. Let us know what's happening.
What I'm finding is I'm not actually. I assist in his management. I'm not his manager.
Okay.
I mean, we've had fantastic people like yourself looked after him in the past, and then you sort of stepped out of the industry and gave up the promoting portion of it. We had Brian Armachula looking after him, and then he went over to Canada and he fought a lad in Canada that was quite highly ranked, and he was a lot heavier. He was up in the super welterweight division, and because he beat the bloke in his backyard and he was a highly rated boxer, he got looked at by the Yanks and some Americans, contract wise, and they gave him a couple of good fight offers. And the first one they gave us was on the Kambosos undercard, where he got to fight Kambosos' sparring partner.
I saw that. And look, the worst thing about Michael, I'm sure you guys were frustrated as well. You ended up being the swing bout, so it was after Haney and Haney and Kambosos. And I sat there and watched it. It was a great performance from John, and it was just a pity that not more people got to see him do his work.
Well, yeah. Well, the good thing is we did get on the card. Doesn't matter whether you're on the TV or not. I mean, with the experience that John had at the time, it was just get the fight, and we were frustrated because we weren't getting the fights. And the last 3 fights or the last 4 fights before the last one we just had, but we've been stepping up. We've been jumping out of our weight division, definitely out of our comfort zone, definitely outmatched on experience. And John's been proving, coming with the goods. What we've done here, and I've trying to get a lot of fights happening here. One of the first ones was probably about a year ago, Lyndon, and I challenged Yusuf Dib.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And they said we negotiated we didn't even we don't really care about the money. We didn't negotiate much money. Must just get over there, make the fight happen. I felt like with Yusuf Dib, they said they were saying okay, then they had to cancel the show, then they had to move it a month later, and then they said, he's not going to be available, he's going to jump a different division. Now I don't know what Yusuf's gone on to do, if he stayed in that division or retired, or I noticed he's got 19 fights with no losses.
Well, he's fighting this weekend. He's fighting on Wednesday night against Miles Aluski.
Yeah, I don't know who that is, but I'm finding that they seem to, a lot of these guys, a lot of the promoters around Australia, I mean, Lyndon, you're probably one of the exceptions. I'm finding they're taking easy fights. They're taking the easy option every single time, right? When we go over to the States, and I was there for Lamachenko and Haney, I mean, the undercard was sensational. Like, you're talking about the last 10 fights, they were a main fight on any other show. They were all honestly matched good fights. And then I think over here, and I'm going to speak, I'm going to have upset a lot of people, but I think a lot of people here are trying to bring Thai taxi drivers and Filipinos down and people from Fiji that can't fight and to pad their boys' records. But there's got to come a time when these guys are fighting. We're happy to. I mean, I'm not going to bag the guys that are up there, but they need to be fighting us. The Hamdens, Huss Hamden, he needs to. You want an opponent? Hey, we'll come to Sydney. We'll fight you in your backyard. We'll fight you for the Australian title.
So, are you campaigning at lightweight or super lightweight, Michael?
We're super lightweight.
All right, well, 60, at the moment, 60, yeah. So,
lightweight, 63.5.
Yeah, so 140. So the champion was obviously Hassan Hamden now. Wasn't he? He beat Justin Frost. I don't think they've updated the Aussie rankings by the looks of things here.
Yeah, there's a bit of a dispute about that, and I can understand that because the doctor stopped the fight and should have stopped the fight. And, you got the old problem of how the officials officiated that fight. It was probably disgraceful. And it shouldn't, there's a lot that goes on. There's a lot of favoritism, I guess, for certain camps and, right, with the way and that's good. That's what you get with many years of experience and being a top leading camp, that you can pull, not favors, but you know how to play the game. And I think Fennick did really well. I'm not saying nothing bad about Handem, but we'd like to fight Handem. Yeah. We'd definitely like to fight Frost. We'd like to fight them both on the same night if we got an opportunity, because we know 110% we can beat them. I'm willing to put up personal money to bet that we can beat them. I'm willing to give them.
So is Hassan Hamden the one you're after, mate? Or is there? I mean, there's some really good guys in that division. Obviously, the big ones being.
Well, I'll name a few. We got Hassan Hamden. If he's the Australian champion, we want him.
Yep.
Don't worry. We are at the moment with the boxing federation. We are the number one contender. So whoever holds that Australian title has to fight us. Has to fight us. They can dodge. They have to fight us. We've been We've put the request in. We're going to put it in writing, but we are definitely the number one contender. We have to get one of these guys. Now, I can bet you they'll be shifting out of the division or retiring or moving up or down a division. They're going to avoid John because it's 100% they know John's going to bash him, right? Justin Frost, he's not going to fight him, and I know that firsthand. But guys, you got the 63.5 kilo Australian title. You can't pick and choose who you fight. You've got to be the best in Australia.
Well, because so are you? I've got to ask, Mike, are you aligned with any? Because I mean, everyone seems to be aligning themselves with the big guy. I know you said before you've been with Big Time Boxing. Obviously, with me in the past, you've been with Peter Maniatis as well. I'm not sure with you.
No, never with Peter. Look, but Peter Maniatis' last show.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know who he ran it with, but I think he matched it.
Yeah.
If Australian public are not getting sick of, 6, guys from Thailand or 5 guys from Thailand taking first round knockouts, it's a joke. Well, we got guys in Australia, and there's a lot of good boxers in Australia that are in John's predicament that are not getting the fights because they're dangerous for the opponent, so they're not getting the fights, and it's for some reason either the promoters don't want to put it on or it's a too hard basket. I'd love to. Doesn't matter where they are. There's Blake Minto, 14, 4 and 2. The guy's got double the record almost of John. We'll fight him. Jake Wiley, 10 wins, 1 loss. Hey, we'll fight him. Right?
So are you aligned? Sorry, I was just going to say, that's why I asked about the promotional sort of situation before. Everyone that seems to be aligning themselves with a No Limit, a Tasman Fighters, an Ace Boxing, whatever. You guys aren't aligned with anyone at the moment?
We haven't got a contract with anyone. With the American contract, we've actually been able to quash it so we get a lot more fights.
Yeah.
We're happy, we're happy to fight on Big Time Boxing. Brian's a sensational bloke and he has helped us out.
Yeah.
It's the difficulty, and I just done it with Joe DiMacaulay. I've promoted nearly 200 kickboxing and some boxing shows and MMA. So I've done more shows than probably most people have in Australia professionally.
Yeah.
I gave up professional promoting. I got sick of it, and I'll tell you what, if I was doing it now, I'd even be more sick of it because I reckon they're a bigger joke now than they ever have been. I think the biggest boxing mobs will eventually take John on because they do want the best fighters. But the joke is, people like Hunter Leone, he's getting a fight on every show because he's a journeyman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? We knocked him out 4 fights ago in the second round. The guy is still getting fights on every show, getting paid a lot more than most fighters because that's the guy that's giving him the win. Sometimes I question how he's still allowed to fight because he's been knocked out so many times that
he's become an opponent, hasn't he? But looking at the division at the moment, you're right, mate. It's probably almost the hottest division in Australia at the moment. You've got Hassan Hamdan. I know he's the one you want to fight. What about someone? Yusuf Div, as I said, fighting this week against Miles Zaluski for the IBF Australasian lightweight title. But you've got Stevie Spark. Is he someone that might be a target? I'm sure he'd want a good quality opponent, or has he turned his nose?
Yeah, Stevie Sparks was. I sort of pissed them off a while back. Stevie Sparks was offered to us probably when John wasn't as hot as he is now, but they looked at John. They had a look at John, and originally it was verbally said yes, but then they said no to the fight. Obviously, looking at John is a southpaw is probably difficult for a lot of opponents. It's hard for them to fight southpaws, or they're not good against southpaws. And with him, I understand that he had a bigger picture. He's earned his spot to go to the world, and he's stepped up to the world rankings, and he's in America. I can understand him now where he is now, not stepping backwards to fight someone with the limited experience that John has. But there's nothing to say that we won't say yeah to fighting him. Not a problem. There's 2 guys up there now that have stepped up into the worlds. Pinto and Sparks, and I think both of those guys are making serious money. And even if I was promoting them, it'll be a stupid move to fight someone and take a risk against John and lose your points and lose your ranking and lose your spot that you've earned for so many years. So right now, I could see why they wouldn't, and it's a business decision. And if I was taking a fighter to that level, I'd probably be making the same decision that, hey, you got to earn it. But the guys in Australia that hold the Australian title, the 5 or 6 of the top 7, except for the top 2 because they're already overseas, they're already got contracts fighting, for world titles.
Yeah.
I mean, the rest of them should be trying to fight John to see if they're actually going to be moving any better. And that's same for John. John gets to test himself against these blokes.
It seems to be the thing that does it. I mean, you've been around long enough, like I have. You know that unless you're with one of those big promotional companies, they're never going to take a risk against someone like John. And as I said before you come on, the problem with John is he's a very, very good fighter. So you can understand them not wanting to fight him. But geez, if the fair income about putting on the great or the best shows, you would think that he would be attractive because we've just seen Matt Sheen get his chance up against Conor Wallace. That took a long time for him to get his opportunity. But in this division here, you got Stevie Spark, Yusuf Dib, Brock Jarvis is probably going to move up. Darragh Foley, Kai McKenzie, Kane Clark, I think would be a ripper, all Victorian fight.
Kane Clark trains in the gym with us. He's a sparring
okay.
partner.
So you
got Blake I don't think Bryce helps train both of the boys with Steve. Okay. So SUF gym, we're very close friends. I don't think we'll be fighting each other.
That's all right.
Kane's a little bit lighter. Kane's a division under him.
Yeah. Well, his last fight, I think he's ranked at super lightweight here, but you've got Jacob Wiley's at that. I reckon the Jacob Wiley fight is the one that I think, and if Mick Francis, if you're watching, I spoke to you the other day, I might give him another call. Putting Jacob Wiley and John Manu on a Tasman Fighters card would be an absolute ripper fight. So
these big ripper cards, they want the best fights, right? Now we're not contracted to one particular group, so we're not limited to who we fight for.
Yeah.
It's going to be good because if they do want to fight, we're happy to go to Queensland. We're happy to go to Sydney. We're happy to go outside. We've stepped against the demons. I mean, I'm pretty sure when we fought Kambosos' sparring partner, which is Sosa, he was 13-0. I'm pretty sure we were the underdogs by a mile, not expected to win. And quite honestly, we punched the crappers out of him.
And I remember it was at the Canadian fight you went over there. I think you beat the hometown boy at junior middleweight. I think was it.
Yeah, it was junior middleweight. Beat the hometown boy who had a big amateur career, and he was I think he was 4-0, 5-0 in professional, and he was the Tim Zhu of Canada, the growing kid they were trying to promote, and it was just a shock because John clobbered him. Now at the same time, John stepped up in America, and he was meant to fight a southpaw, and went over there, and a week later his opponent got switched from a sensational southpaw to a really, really good big puncher, and John got stopped in the second. So, and John hasn't stopped and gone backwards and said, it's experience. He's trying to get the experience. He hasn't ducked and weaved. I mean, we've had to go on. Luckily, Team Ultimate put a boy on, and they gave us a guy that used to be ranked. He's had 60 boxing fights and used to hold the world title. But again, we're fighting a guy that used to fight 10 kilos lighter. And we had to manage that fight. We had to make sure we bought the tickets in, and we sold a lot of money to make that fight happen. But that's not the guys we want. We want the best in our backyards. We want to clean up our backyard, and then we want to get up to 15, 16, 20 fights, and then we want to move over to America or the world and see what we can do over there. So we probably jumped the gun a little bit early this time around when we jumped over and took every fight we could. But it gave us a lot more experience, but it's also given us the danger card because everyone knows we're dangerous. Everyone knows the kid can fight. But if you want to hold an Australian title, if any of these Huss Hamdens or anyone, Frost, anyone who wanted to continue holding that title in that weight division, you have to fight John.
Yeah.
If you win, good on you. You deserve the title. But,
yeah. Sorry, go ahead, mate.
I know the camps. Look, Bryce has spoken to one of the camps, and I know they're not going to fight him. And I understand. I mean, they know where their boy's at, and they know the capabilities. But, step away from that division. Don't fight for the title. Let us have it. And if two people want to relinquish the title, you know what? We're gonna pay to put the title on. We're going to bring the guy, and we're going to put the show on.
All right,
we've got big money behind us. We're going to put the show on. So if you want to fight, we'll fight. We'll fight on No Limits. No Limits has offered us one fight on the show, but they rang us up. They wanted John again to go up to like 68, 69 kilos. He's a 63.5 kilo fighter. He can't be jumping out of his division by 2 divisions just to make a promoter happy and give us a 2-fight deal. No, you want to put us on with anyone that's good. Anyone, we'll fight them. on at that division will come to your show. We'll fight anybody.
Well, there it is. There's plenty of guys there. If No Limit or Tasman Fighters, whoever is out there is looking for an opponent, if Brendan Smith up there with the big fights is looking for a legitimate opponent for Stevie Spark, you've got one here. So, mate, I feel your frustration. I'm sure everyone out there does as well. You've got a great young guy, and if you're out there and you haven't seen John Manu fight, make sure you check him out on YouTube. I'm sure he's on there somewhere. Really good young kid. He's got a lot of raps down here in Victoria. And no doubt he'll make some waves around the country. So, mate, we'll put the word out there, and hopefully we can get one of those big fights across the line.
No worries. Thanks, Lynden.
Really
Thanks very much.
Mate. Thanks, mate.
See ya.
All right, that was Michael Vukovic. So I know it's not something we regularly do there, guys, but he was pretty worked up the other day when he contacted me, and I thought I'd give him the opportunity to come on because I understand where he's coming from. Very, very frustrating. As I said before, Matt Sheen. Actually, where's your comment there, Carl? I'll get that off the screen if I can find it. Not sure I can find it. There it is. All right, I'll come back to that, by the way, Big J. Look, but as I said, Matt Sheen, I've promoted a few times as well. He's been around for 5-6 years, doing the best he can to get a big fight. I know he got on the weekend. It didn't quite go as planned. Well, that's an understatement, isn't it? But, always is looking and willing to fight any of those best guys out there. Finally got his opportunity. Yes, it didn't go his way, but I can understand where Mike was coming from. And as I said before, not just blowing wind up his ass. John Manu, really, really good young fighter, and I got no doubt, given the opportunities and the right fight, he could be a really solid fighter in this country. All right, let's get back to some comments there, guys. So, Big J, any talk of the only... I did see the OnlyFans girl. Well, I didn't see it, to be honest. I don't watch shit like that. I did see the story, though, getting her boobs out. Was it the DAZN thing? Now, was it a influencer show? I would hope that DAZN aren't lowering themselves to influencer shows, but I did see it. I would hope that DAZN, who were trying to be credible, I did see on the weekend show that they pulled the mic away from, I can't remember who it was swearing after the fight, pulled it away. They don't want that on their channel. I would think this is the last time that particular promoter is on DAZN. But anyway, we'll see. But I didn't see it, Big J. It's ridiculous. All right, what do we got here? Dan, how are you, Dan? I'm just going through the comments quickly there, guys. I was once a massive Tyson Fury fan, but I've lost a lot of respect for him lately with some of the recent fights he's taken. But him fighting UFC fighter next instead of Usyk is ridiculous. Well, great point, Dan. I've got it on my list to talk about. Let's talk about it now. Tyson Fury, he's apparently signed to fight Francis Ngannou, the former WBC, UFC heavyweight champion, in some sort of, I was going to call it a circus fight. Look, on paper, it's legitimate. You've got the two, Tyson, arguably the heavyweight champion of the world. I know there's Usyk out there as well. Now, I must admit, I've never seen Ngannou fight. I got no idea about it. But one thing I will say, it comes back to the joke the WBCs have come out and said they're not going to strip Tyson Fury. They say, well, it's not his fault he can't get a fight. Well, bullshit, he's the champion. Surely there's somebody out there he can fight. They've decided not to strip him because he's tried his best to get these fights across the line and he can't get them and no one will fight him, which is complete bullshit. So they've not sanctioned it, but they're not going to strip him. He won't fight for probably another year after this. So he's again held the title hostage for 18 months or 2 years, whatever it is. But I think it is ridiculous, Dan. I just don't get why Tyson Fury would be lowering himself to something like this. And I know a lot of people have said, Floyd Mayweather did, and he got the bullshit win over Conor McGregor. You got to remember, I don't really necessarily agree with McGregor's fight being officially a proper sanctioned fight, even though I don't think there's any title on the line. This is a little bit different. Mayweather was at the end of his career, came back, 2 years later after he was retired, and pretty much just put the cherry on top of his career. I sort of get that. Tyson Fury is still in the midst of his career. So to forego those big fights he could have, and I'm sure there's somebody out there would want to fight him, especially for the title, that he's decided to take this, as you said, their ridiculous circus fight for the big money. I, for one, have always been a massive Tyson Fury fan. I probably always will be, but he's lost a lot of respect in my eyes, Dan, just like I'm sure he has in a lot of yours as well. Let's go down the... yes, we'll get to the main event there that we didn't actually get to before. That was the rankings. All right, so the main event. So, actually, we'll go to... Well, we'll get to Dana Coolwell in a minute. Connor Wallace, you're right there, mate, Big J. What a statement he made. I was really confident that Matt Sheen would give Connor Wallace a really, really good fight, I will say. But Connor Wallace absolutely obliterated him. It was just a beautiful left hand down the pipe and put him down. He couldn't recover. Connor Wallace, I thought, showed to be a really, really good finisher, and just got Matt Sheen out of there. Probably a little bit dubious at the end where he hit him on the ground, but that's happened in countless fights. I actually promoted Matt Sheen's other loss that also coincidentally happened in the resulted in a first round knockout. That was to Isaac Harbin. That's when we had no idea who Isaac Harbin was. He came in as a late replacement to Matt and stopped him in the first round as well. It's actually on YouTube if you want to check it out. But, mate, Big J, a massive statement by Connor Wallace, and now he's going to be, well, I think he's already ranked in the world rankings by all organisations. Not sure this fight over Matt Sheen will elevate him super, to in the top, 3 or 4, but you just got to keep winning in this business, and he's done it impressively. And just an unbelievable performance from Connor. And, I'm not sure what's next for Matt Sheen. As for Dana Coolwell, thought it was a really, really good win over Manuel Mate. Mate's a really, really tough young kid. It's 5-5, but all losses have been against really credible opponents. You can see there if I bring it up. So he's lost his last few, but, Harry Carside, Jalen Tate, Rocky Ogden, Massing, that's interesting, Marawara. That was actually in Fiji, but you can see there, so the last 4 losses he's had there have all been really, really good fighters. So, no disgrace losing to losing to Dana Coolwell. I thought just fought a really good fight. Now, you got to remember he was preparing for Luke Boyd here. I think he pulled out a week or 2 before this fight. So I think he did the right thing. He didn't try and get Mate out of there because he's a tough boy. He's never really going to stop him. I just think he did exactly what he had to do. Won each round. You can see there the scores 98-92 times 2 and 97-93, which I think is spot on the money. I think 7-3, 8-2 was really good. And I was really impressed with Dana Coolwell, just with the way he went about it. As I said, he didn't try and take Mate out. Just boxed him, won each round, and just did what he had to do to get a decision. So I'm really impressed with Dana Coolwell. The question for me, I was thinking about watching him. I've watched most of his recent fights. He's a great young talent. But I've got to say, would he beat Luke Boyd? Just my personal opinion. I think Luke Boyd may be a little bit strong for Dana Coolwell. I know a lot of you out there will have differing opinions. But I just think Luke Boyd, really tough young guy. So I almost think Dana, I won't say dodged a bullet, but maybe, at this stage of his career, probably didn't need a Luke Boyd in his life, if that makes sense. Get a few more wins under his belt. Still only a young guy. Luke Boyd, former Olympian, as he's Dana Coolwell, but a really good, solid, tough man is Luke Boyd. So, as I said, I don't think there's anything wrong with that fight not happening now. I'm sure it will happen down the track. But, as I said, really impressed with Dana Coolwell's performance, and he's going to go on to bigger and better things. All right, we'll take some comments here. I've probably answered most of them already, but let's go. All right, Carl. Any news on Liam Paro's injury? No, mate. I must admit I haven't heard anything. There's been that much going on lately that it's just sort of flown under the radar. I did speak with Noonan Boy. Was it a week? Nick Noonan Boy, that is, a week or 2 ago. And I think he did say he's back training and starting his slow rehab. You've got to remember 2 Achilles injuries, really serious injuries they are. So, so he's going to be out for a little while. I wouldn't be surprised if it's not till the end of the year, Carl. But when I'm over there in, where is it? Shawnee, Oklahoma, I'm sure I'll get an opportunity to sit down with Noonan Boy and get the goss because he's across everything, he's Noonan Boy. And it'd be good to sort of see him in action over there. Now, that's my wife commenting there. What's she saying? If there was one bonus for the Rona, it was forcing Aussies to fight Aussies. Unfortunately, now they can travel and import. A lot of the good Aussie matches have gone by the wayside again. Yes, Tazi, yes, that is 100% correct. They had no choice but to fight each other. That just wasn't Australia. That was all over the world. Look, I think they've been okay. I mean, you could obviously tell in Michael Vukovic's voice before, he's a very frustrated guy, and I totally get it. I really do. I didn't actually say it to him then. It's just sort of escaped me. But probably my advice to him is, unfortunately, whether you like it or not, you've got to align yourself with a No Limit or a Tasman Fighters at this stage, or probably not an Ace Boxing because they're a Queensland-based corporation. As is Tasman Fighters, but they've now got a bit of coin to spend with the DAZN money. So that would be my advice to them, to his camp, is unfortunately, whether you like it or not, align themselves with them, because that's they run boxing. And who runs who and who's bigger than who, that's another argument they can have amongst themselves. One with DAZN, one with Fox. But yeah, either way, if you want to get somewhere really in this country, unfortunately, you've got to sign with one of those mobs. So I see. Actually, Carl, good point there, mate. I didn't actually put that on my list, and I should have. Dempsey McKean, Philip. It's with an F, I think, there, but whatever. Herovic, whatever you pronounce. I never can pronounce these names. Massive step up for him. Yeah, Carl, I will 100% agree with that, mate. Full props to Dempsey McKean. I did actually hear this from Noonan Boy about 3 weeks ago. This fight was going to happen. He's always first with the news. He's Noonan Boy. But yeah, this is a massive step up for McKean, and I really applaud him for taking this fight. As you've said there, massive step up for him. And look, to get the big fights, you've got to fight these guys and get the win. So I really applaud him. He could have easily just kept fighting, fringe sort of fighters. Got himself ranked, well, he is ranked in the top in 15 ratings. Just tread water for a little while, keep just busy, and he would have got his shot at some stage. But to take him on, I think it's a really, really good fight for him. I think it's an IBF eliminator. So if he wins, he's going to go right up the ratings as far as being aligned to fight an Usyk, or not necessarily probably a Fury, but definitely an Usyk, maybe, or Joshua, who knows. But yeah, hats off to Dempsey McKean. Yes, let's go the tower, says Carl. I like it. All right, Carl, another one. Typical Tyson Fury, to be honest. Why is he ducking Usyk? Scared, greedy belly. I'll be honest with you, Carl. I think this mightn't be popular either. I think that I don't think Tyson Fury is 100% confident that he can beat Usyk. I'm only saying by style. Now, you got to remember Tyson Fury, I know he comes across as a bit of the, am I allowed to say gypsy? I don't know. I'm going to call him one. He doesn't watch his show, so I will. A gypsy fighter. He's a larrikin. He's, he likes to play a bit of the goofball sometimes. But deep down, he's still a businessman, and he's going to take the right fight. So even though I still don't agree with the Nagano fight, would have been plenty of fighters out there. I'm sure Andy Ruiz would have jumped at the chance to fight him. But anyway, that's a different story. I don't think he wants Wilder again. The 3 fights is enough. But Ruiz is out there wanting to fight. So anyway, but I just think he's not confident he can beat Usyk, Carl. Usyk's a handful. Not a big puncher, but he's a really good boxer. He's a spoiler. He reminds me a little bit of a southpaw Michael Spinks. And I think actually Michael Spinks was a better fighter. That's again another arguable point. But same sort of thing. They were able to go through. Well, Spinks came from light heavyweight, skipped cruiserweight, and went straight to heavyweight. Usyk, of course, started cruiserweight, now at heavyweight, but not a big heavyweight. But he gets by with just great skills, in and out, being awkward, doesn't exchange with the big heavyweights he's in with. So he's a handful. If he fights Tyson Fury, he's not going to stand there and let Tyson Fury smother him. He's going to be quicker than Tyson Fury. It's not really about power, because I don't think either way that's going to be a knockout either way, I will say. But he can match Fury, if not beat him, with speed. He's not going to allow Fury to lay on him. So that's a tough fight for Fury, and I think Tyson Fury knows it. And, he's probably only got, well, who knows how long he's got in the sport. He retires and comes back all the time. But if he's only got 2 years or maybe to go, maybe 3, whatever it is, he wants to pick the best fights for him. Again, I don't agree with the Nagano fight, but just to pick the right fights. And that's why I was a little bit shocked why the Joshua fight didn't come off. I know the negotiations were a little bit short and rushed, but I can see him, if I was him, in his nice stable mind, away from all the cameras and the crowds and everything else, when he's sitting in there with his team, working out what to do, that he would say, okay, well, these are the fights we definitely want. We want Joshua. We don't probably want Usyk unless we just have no choice whatsoever. I think Ruiz would be a really good fight for him. Maybe even a Wilder fight, a 4th one. I think people would like that, but I can see why he doesn't want to fight Usyk. But anyway, scared, greedy belly. And Glenn, yes, Glenn R, WBC, a disgrace. Wow, that's an understatement, Glenn. just ridiculous. I wouldn't be surprised if they bring out a commemorative belt for this as well, Glenn. It's ridiculous. And to hear, and I don't know why he did it in Spanish, by the way, but to hear Mauricio Suleiman, WBC president, the way he described it with a straight face, by the way, I just couldn't believe it. It's just making a sham of the sport. It really is. And I don't look, people, there will be the crossover fans that'll probably watch it for the event. I don't know, who knows. I, for one, won't be buying it to watch it. Could not care less about it. So does Tyson Fury run the risk of alienating his boxing fans? I think he does. And it just makes it hard to take him seriously when he starts talking about those fights with, as I said, maybe an Usyk or Joshua, whoever it might be. I mean, Usyk's got on with it, by the way. He's going to fight Daniel Dubois, really good fight. Joshua's getting on with it. He's fighting Dillian White, even though I think that's a joke fight as well. Sold out pretty quick, though, so what do I know? I don't like that fight with Joshua and White. He's already done it. Dillian White and Derek Chisora just seem to be the go-to guys when you haven't got someone to fight. You just fight those guys. Dillian White's obviously a little bit better than what Chisora is, but you understand what I'm getting at. Andy, g'day, mate. If he agrees with Dan 100%, if Tyson Fury doesn't fight Usyk by end of December, my respect for him plummets. Yeah, well, don't hold your breath, Andy. I don't think that's going to happen very quick. I'm just going to put my hand in the front of the camera there because I'm all over the place as far as probably because I'm moving around so much. All right, what else we got there? Carl says, Dan, I was a huge fan, but after he keeps paying his mates for trilogies, etc., I'm over for him. Yeah, I'm with you, Carl, and I love the Gypsy King, Tyson Fury, but just does himself no favours whatsoever. There's plenty of guys out there that he could fight. I don't know. I just think he likes to be difficult for the sake of being difficult. I really do, just so he can. Almost, you know what he reminds me of is a prima donna lead singer of a rock band. You know what they're like. You know, they'll get there late and they'll turn up whenever they want. You know, they'll come out stage, they'll storm off if someone throws something at them or yells something at them or something happens they don't like, they'll storm off in a huff. That sort of reminds me of Tyson Fury. You know, just a bit of a prima donna and likes just to let everyone know that I'm in charge and I'm the man and this whole thing revolves around me and I just want you to acknowledge it every now and then. That's sort of what he reminds me of. But let's hope he gets this one out the way, has a quick turnaround, and we see him in one of those big fights either end of this year or early next year. But we'll see. Big J getting back to Dempsey McKeon, going to get, well, put it mildly, mate, going to get pumped by Agrovic. Look, all I'll say, Big J, is that it's going to be a tough ask for Dempsey, but you don't know. I mean, Liam Wilson's done it recently. Stevie Sparks done it recently. Tim Tszyu was going to do it. Putting himself, George Kambosos has done it, of course, putting themselves in line for these big fights. You've got to be in it to win it. And regardless, look, I agree with you. It's going to be a really, really tough fight for Dempsey McKeon. But as I said, he could have just treaded water and just waited for maybe a shot as one of the top 15 contenders and got a voluntary defence. But he's taking a chance. Maybe IBF have said, look, you've either got to take this fight or you get nothing. Who knows what goes on behind closed doors. But, mate, regardless of what's going to happen, I've got full respect for Dempsey for taking the fight. But don't hold back next time, mate. Glenn says Fury's still in his prime or thereabouts. Total grub. Okay, well, looks like Tyson's lost a fan in Glenn there. I think you've been hanging out with Big J too long there, Glenn. You're just don't hold back. You know, just tell us how it is. Speaking of Big J, Tyson Fury is a wanker. All right, now we're getting into it. And I got to say that to his face. Ha ha. Okay, well, he probably would have laughed it off. I don't think. Look. The thing is with Tyson Fury, though, he's pretty hard to get angry at. I mean, I know I'm with you guys. I don't like what's happened. He's lost a lot of my respect in certain ways, but I think maybe calling him a wanker, unless it's in a fun way, is probably a bit rough there, Big J. But yeah, look, I don't know. I don't know what he's thinking. I understand. Has he got an advisor? I don't think he does. I think he just walks to the beat of his own drum and he just does what he wants. I mean, 1 minute he's retiring, 1 minute he's coming back, then he's fighting someone, and then he's fighting someone else, and he's got a new trainer, and then he's, it's just a circus. But I don't know. Let's hope that once the dust settles on this circus fight, that we can get back to some serious business and start getting the heavyweight division sorted out. I'm interested to see what he said to you when you called him a wanker, Big J. You can put it in the comments there. Carl says heavyweight division sucks ass this era. Well, mate, you're right to some extent. We got sort of rolling there for a little while, didn't we? When we had Joshua and Ruiz and Usyk and Joshua and Fury and Wilder, we got sort of get a little bit of momentum there, mate. Nothing will beat the early 2000s when the Klitschko's dominated, mate, and they just continually. I know both of them lost at certain stages, but that was the worst era, in my opinion, in the history of heavyweight boxing, is when the Klitschko's dominated for years, and the caliber of challenges in the ranks I don't think have ever been worse ever in the history of the heavyweight division. So it could be worse, Carl. I'm 100% with you. It does suck ass at the moment, but it has been worse. Make no mistake about that. Big J agrees with you, Carl. Damn right, heavyweight division hasn't been decent since the Lewis era. Yeah, what a era that was. I mean, Lewis, Holyfield, Tyson, Bowe. I mean, geez, the list goes on. I probably forgot a few there. But even back before that, there was Spinks and Tyson and Holmes and Tony Tucker, Pinklon Thomas and Trevor Burbick. I mean, Tim Witherspoon. That's sort of my era that I just used to love. And I know people go on about it wasn't so good back then, but geez, I'd have it back in a sec. I really would. That was just a great era. And then, of course, go back further, Foreman, Fraser, Ali, Norton, Shavers. It's just they were the glory days. And we had that one black era, that 10-year period with the Klitschko's. But it's not as great now, but as I said, mate, it could be worse. Big J, what's Garside story, mate? Your guess is as good as mine. I've actually spoken to a couple of people in the past week or two about Harry, and no one really seems to know. I've got different stories about he's definitely going to go to the Olympics next year. That seems to be the question, although he hasn't qualified yet, I will say. But that's the aim for him, is to go to the Olympics and try and win gold. And I don't think he'll be back, Big J. My personal gut feel is he'll go to the Olympics, and I think that will be it. I think he might try and get into the entertainment industry, hence why he went on the reality show. What was it? The Jungle one. I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. I'm not quite sure he's got it in here anymore. And look, he has made no secret as well that the whole pro boxing thing was a bit of a shock to him, a little bit of a shock to his system. Didn't really like the way of the business type of things. And like, newsflash, Harry, it's not a sport, mate, in the professionals. This is, in the professionals. It's a sport in the amateurs, in the pros, mate. I hate to break the news to you, but it's all about people trying to make money out of you. It's a two-way thing. The promoters are trying to make money out of. Why do you think they invest all that money into you and put you on TV and everything else? They want to get a return on their investment. Do you think that No Limit with Harry Garside took him under the wing and put him on TV just to be nice guys? They took him out because they wanted to build him up, with the end result of obviously, hopefully, him being successful and making money and everything else. But they also took him on because they want to make money out of him. And why wouldn't they? They're in a business as well. I'll just get this thing about, well, you tend to see that fighters aren't very necessarily loyal. So why? Well, that's probably a bad word, but aren't necessarily too attached to the promoters. It's a money-making thing. As I said, Harry, if you are watching, No Limit or whoever takes you on, they're not there just to look after you and pump tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars into your career just because they're nice guys. They want a return on the investment. And if they can't get a return, we'll see you later. And I just think that was a shock to Harry that, oh my God, people are trying to make money out of me. Geez, in the amateurs, I was just, the best amateur in the country. And now I turn pro and people want to, look, I think he thought he was being exploited, but no, this is the business, Harry. And people just wanted to, No Limit wanted to invest. They wanted a return, make you successful and rich at the same time. But I can't believe you're shocked that, and your managers and trainers and all that. Johnny Lewis wanted to get paid. Peter Matreski Jr. wanted to get paid as your manager. Geez, mate, this is the industry you're in. So if it's not for you, hey, that's cool. Make the right decision and maybe stick to the amateurs. But that's my gut feel, Big J. I think he'll go to the Olympics and then that will be it. And he'll try and if he wins a gold medal, big different story. He'll open a lot of doors, I think, as far as maybe if that's what he wants to do, get in the entertainment industry, whether it be on TV or whatever, radio, whatever it might be. But I'm not quite sure the pros is Harry's gig, to be honest. Big J, prove me wrong. Jules, would love to see Wallace versus Akuso. Well, mate, we're going to get to that soon with my fights. You've preempted one of my fights there. I reckon that's about the only fight in Australia that could test Paulo. Is there any chance that could happen? Looks like Paulo has given up that plan to be champ in 6. Yeah, I don't blame him. I would hope, Jules, that his team would have sat Paulo down and said, hey, mate, that's great. unlike Andy Cruz on the weekend, who's, I think, 27, 28, got to get himself moving, jump straight into 10 rounders and title fights, all that sort of stuff. I get that. Paulo's a bit younger. I'm not exactly sure the exact age. I'm not sure he's anywhere near that, though. If you know his age, put it down there. But yeah, good call, because at that division too, Jules, it's not like it's an easy division. Bivol and Better Beav are the champs in that division. I think it's a good call to say, hey, Paulo, there's no need to be the champion six. Who cares? You know, I would say the same to Alex Winwood, even though Alex is in divisions that are nowhere near as strong as Paulo. We will get to those fights in a second too, Jules. But I think at that weight, we'll get into that later. But yeah, at light heavyweight, I think you're right there, mate. I think, I think he's the only one that could come close to testing him. Now, I'll go over it in a second when I get to that fight, but it is on the list. But one thing I will say, Jules, is I doubt that fight happens. And this is, again, what Michael said before, is wrong with Australian boxing. Not just Australian boxing, but world boxing. You've got Paulo Akuso with No Limit. You've got Conor Wallace with Tasman Fighters, both going in their own directions. I just don't see it happening. I don't think. Actually, I'm not quite sure the relationship with No Limit and Tasman Fighters. The odds are, I would think they're not interested in dealing with each other. These big sort of companies aren't. Throw Ace Boxing in there as well. Again, it's the politics of boxing. Don't try and understand it because it's way too hard. But I don't see that fight happening, Jules. If it did, look, what a fight that will be. My money's still on Akuso, I will say. I will say that. But let's wait to talk a little bit more about that one. Andy, what do you got there, mate? Let's not forget he said was going to donate his whole purse. Oh, this is Tyson Fury, yeah. From Wilder, fight, then doesn't. You're right, Andy. Why say so if you were never going to honour it? Shake my head, went from zero to hero to zero to hero to zero again. I hear you, mate. Glenn R says, Harry got $100,000 from a month of his life. Fair enough in my book. Yeah, I got no dramas with it, Glenn. This is the reality TV show. He went to the jungle and earned 100K. Hey, mate. Again, Harry, if you're watching, Channel 10. You know, you looked at it as, I'm going to go in there and earn $100,000. Well, Channel 10 obviously want a return on their investment as well, hence why they put you in there. No different to your promoters and managers and trainers and everything else, mate. Again, it's a business. So, James Daly, agree, Jules. I think Winwood has Akuso and Fenech covered at this stage. I wouldn't be surprised, James, you're right, if Alex Winwood does get that world title in a couple of fights. I mean, he's world ranked in the top 10 after 3 fights. And at that weight, I think he can win the world title, James. I'm just saying, he's a great talent. He's Alex Winwood, and I think if he gets a shot, especially against WBC, I think he can win that fight. So we'll see what happens. Yes, Andy, smash the like button, mate. Really appreciate that. Camille Bella signing a 3-fight deal with No Limit. Well, he's got to do something, doesn't he, Frank? Because he's been in limbo for about 5 years now. Can only do so much with his current situation, so he needs to do something. I did hear on the grapevine that he might have been offered a fight with a very young hot prospect by the name of Nikita Zhu, and I'm not quite sure where it's not going to happen next, but I did hear a rumour that was offered to him, and he did turn it down. So I'm not going to deny or confirm that, but that's just a rumour I heard. But from what I hear, it's not going to happen on August 23, but maybe Camille Bella signing with No Limit might be down the track. And you've got to remember too, Camille Bella's gone up from lightweight to welterweight, so up to super welterweight. It's probably a little bit of a jump at the moment, but you never know. Signing with No Limit, maybe that's the aim in 2 or 3 fights time. Who knows? Oh, thanks, Jules. Hergovich, thank you. Batman, g'day, mate. The Francis fight is a disgrace. Yes, mate, it is. And look, again, I don't really follow UFC or watch UFC. Apparently, he's a knockout artist. Let's see how he goes with the bigger gloves. And a heavyweight that's going to just be totally different. The thing is, and I watched this on D-Style Boxing the other day, and I think Calix on there made a brilliant point. He said, why are we getting excited when it is a UFC fighter going into 100% boxing rules? It's not like we've got a crossover fight where there's a combination of rules and maybe they fight boxing rules, but in an octagon or UFC rules in a boxing ring, and there's a combination rules. I get that. Then we can sort of see a bit of a hybrid sort of thing. This guy is coming over to boxing like McGregor did against Mayweather, coming over and fighting 100%. So why do we want to see who's the best boxer? We know Tyson Fury's a better boxer. So I don't get it. So Calix Boxing out there, he made a really good point, and I agree. Why are we getting excited about a 100% boxing fight? Andy says, full props to Dempsey McKeon, but I got Hrgovic. Yep, do hope Dempsey proves me wrong, though. Of course, we'll be cheering for our Aussie guy. Yes, mate, 100%. And again, you got to be in it to win it. So Jules says, I think Dempsey stops Hrgovic. More dynamic, and Hrgovic was lucky to get past Zhang, in my opinion. Yeah, I can't sort of see him stopping Hrgovic, Jules, but I can see him maybe outboxing him. Dempsey's not a real big puncher, but being southpaw is awkward. Good skills. So I think he's a good chance if he boxes Hrgovic. But as I can't really see him stopping Hrgovic. My money at this stage, to be honest, would be on Hrgovic, but I'll be definitely going for Dempsey McKeon 100%, mate. Glenn doesn't agree. He says Hrgovic a level or two above Dempsey. Well, I'm sure we'll find out. Yes, Carl Jayapataya and Richard Regapore. Again, I'm not good with these names. I'll go on YouTube and watch them, and I'll try and listen to the commentators how they pronounce it. I always get it wrong, but yeah, mate, 100%, mate. That will be a banger. That'll be a great fight. All right, Dan says agree 100% regarding Tyson Fury. And now when you look at his record, apart from the old Klitschko and the Wilder trilogy, who has he beaten? Well, he's done nothing. This is the thing. Since we had that, obviously, the gap for personal reasons after he fought Klitschko, and what a performance that was to come back after his battles outside the ring. But since he's fought Wilder, not that Wilder's done anything, by the way, himself, had that one first-round knockout. But, yeah, you're right, Dan. Hasn't really done anything since the Wilder fight. So, and don't count Dillian White, just a joke of a fight. So anyway, I'll get through a few more of these comments there before I get into my list. Big J says, in reality, Fury is a total sweetheart. He's all show, and he call me see you next Tuesday. Oh, fun though. That's good. Andy, we fans see it as a disgrace, but casual fans are still likely going to gobble up that Tyson Fury versus Ngannou fight, though. Yeah, you're right, though, mate. And look, end of the day, they probably don't care what us boxing fans really think. I don't think Tyson Fury does. It's just about the dollars for him. So I'm sure they'll do a killing. It's like all the Jake Paul fights. I know, is he fighting again soon too, isn't he? In a couple of weeks against Nate Diaz. Jeez. Can't beat a boxer, and an average boxer at that. We'll go back to fighting MMA, guys. I'm not even going to talk about that fight. What a joke. Way bigger joke than what this. I thought we might have seen the end of that guy. Fair income. But he's back. And he'll beat Nate Diaz, and I am back, and I want a rematch with the other Fury, whatever. Not even going to waste time talking about it. All right. Adam, how are you, mate? Love the show. First time watching on my phone, so also first time we could say good day. Adam Hughes, mate, really welcome you to the show. Great to have you along. As you can see there, we just shoot the shit for an hour and a half. But, mate, really appreciate you joining in. If you've got a comment or a subject you want to bring up, feel free. Dan says, agree, Big J. Dempsey up against a very formidable opponent. Hrgovic was lucky, though, to get the decision against Zhang. Yeah, look, that was a while ago. Yeah, and Zhang's obviously gone on to bigger and better things. But, yeah, look, whether he won or not, I suppose it's an argument we can talk about. But end of the day, he got the win and got the credentials. And I wonder if he knows what type of test he's going to be up against Dempsey, because that seems to be sometimes a bit of advantage to the Aussies. They don't sort of see us coming. We know who's coming. We know our fighters. But sometimes we catch them a little bit unawares over there, as has been seen in the past. So maybe we might see the same here. Big J, Taylor Robinson is on the Hunted reality TV show. I did see that, Big J, with a trainer. I can't remember his name, but yeah, she's on that with him. So that was obviously taped a while ago, because I think she's in Vegas at the moment in a training camp. So, and I think she might have a fight coming up soon, I did see. So, yeah, she's with Tasman Fighters as well. So I'm sure she'll feature on some of those big DAZN shows soon as well. Batman says, I remember watching him and Andy Cruz. That's his Harry Garside, yep. I think he looked very talented. Lost the fight wide, but he gave a good performance. Yeah, the amateurs... Be interesting to see those two guys fight as pros, Batman. I think it might be a little bit different. I know Andy Cruz looked okay yesterday, but that guy was just custom made for him, and he looked good. I don't really like how he's taken on the whole persona of the, the dancing and all the whatever. He's got to probably get himself, fast forward his career a lot. Look, it was a workmanlike performance. Good fight for him. I think he wanted to get the 10 rounds under his belt. The guy he fought hadn't been stopped and had some really good opponents. So, but I remember watching that fight at the Olympics. Batman, this is Harry Garside and Andy Cruz, and it was, look, he did win wide points-wise, but I thought Harry Garside did a really good job. Get into the comments there, guys. Speaking of Andy Cruz, thoughts on his pro debut. Yeah, as I said, Andy, I wasn't super impressed. I thought he just did enough to get the win. First fight out the road. You've got to remember, 10-round fight. Probably spars 20 rounds in the gym, but fight night's a lot different. So I think he just wanted to get a good, solid 10 rounds under his belt. The guy he fought was obviously no threat to him whatsoever. Just was going to go through the round. So I thought a good opponent for him. I think he'd had 45 fights, whatever it might have been. That was the Villa, I think his name was. So, yeah, no, Andy Cruz I thought was okay. And I do see they're going to fast forward him as quick as they can. I wouldn't be surprised if they try and do a Lomachenko with him, get him a world title fight in 3 or 4 fights. That's hence why they put him in a 10-round fight straight away. Big J, bloody hell, I wish I was 20 years younger again. I'll make a killing out of promotions these days alone. Oh, well, guess I'll just have to settle to give McAllister a good hiding. Just leave Jai alone out there, Big J. I think he's up at the fights this week, isn't he? Actually, we better get onto that before if we even get a chance to do my list. But we will get on to those fights. All right, Lyndon, does anything discussed on Deep Dive come back to you when you're mingling with the sector? Interested to know who is lurking or watching delayed. Do I have anyone question me or message me or confront me, Jules? Not yet. And look, the thing is, what I will say, Jules, when I'm on here, I understand a lot of these guys see the show because sometimes I tag them into the show and I get people comment on it and they've seen the show, they know all about it. Look, the thing is, what I will say is I'll never say anything on here that I'm not prepared to say to them if they want to take me up on it. So if anyone wants to call me or confront me or whatever, as I said, I'm never going to get on here and lip off and then, be, hey, if someone confronts me. So I'm not prepared to back away from anything I say on here, hence why I've got the show. But not so far, mate. I've had, as I said, a lot of people commented on the show and thank me for the content and giving them a mention, but never anyone. I've been given the silent treatment a couple of times by a couple of boxers when I've tried to get interviews or what it might be. But that's cool. That's the business we're in. And if boxers can't take a little bit of criticism and a bit of constructive feedback, well, that's their problem, not mine. But as I said, I'll never say anything that I'm not prepared to back up in person, on the phone, email, text message, whatever it might be. So, but to answer your question, mate, no. All positive, if anything, I will say. Frank Maselli can confirm. I also heard Camille was offered Nikita, but due to Nikita being heavier, wasn't their best move for the team. Rumour is Camille versus Jarvis. Well, that's a pretty good fight, I would think. And Camille Bella's got to get his career moving. I mean, it's stalled big time. Now, I promoted a few of his fights early in his career. Got him the fight with George Kambosos, which he lost, when was that, 2017. Promoted his fight after that, and then he was injured, and I've sort of moved away from promoting after that. I'm not sure what he's doing now. Obviously, he's, no limit by the sounds of things. That fight with Brock Jarvis, good fight, really good fight. Not quite sure Brock will want to do it at welterweight, though. That's the other problem, Frank, because he's had talks about going right up to middleweight. I think he might settle at junior middleweight, to be honest, or super welterweight, 140 pound is Jarvis. But Camille, late 20s, I think he is, needs to just take these fights. I understand the Nikita situation, but if he goes on the no limit shows, just roll the dice and just go for it, because you're either going to do that or you're going to just your career's just going to peter out. So, all right. Lyndon pronouncing these fighters' names is priceless. I can barely pronounce my own name sometimes, Carl, but I do my best. Jules Reakpour, I think. Okay, as I said, mate, I always try and, when I watch the fights, I try and pronounce it. I'm just hopeless. All right, almost at the end of the comments here until we get in. Now the WBO aren't stripping Charlo. Where do you see Tim's next step? The WBC regional belt and unify them, or keep with the WBO? I think they've got to keep the WBO track there, Carl. I still think I know there was talk they were going to strip Charlo, I think, this week. They're sort of going back and forth what's going to happen. But I think they keep Charlo as the undisputed champion for the Canelo fight for promotional purposes, and then I think they strip him after that. And I think I was just going to say, I think Tim's team would know what's going on, but maybe they don't because obviously they didn't know what was happening in the first place with Charlo. But I would think the WBO would be assuring Tim that don't stress, get this fight out the road, and then you'll be fighting for the real deal. But I would love to see, not that's going to happen with the WBC because who knows what they're going to do, but maybe an IBF or someone say you're out, and Tim, we're going to give you a crack at the belt. So I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen, Carl? But the WBO, they're going to strip him. They're not going to strip him. Then they are again. Who knows? All I know is that you would have seen the interview with Glenn. They'll just keep training, keep waiting, keep negotiating, and I'm sure soon you'll see a big announcement for Tim. Andy, what do we got there, mate? WBO and IBF generally stricter than the WBA and WBC. Excuse me, yeah, they are, mate. That's one good thing. You're surprised to see them standing by Jamal. He deserves to be stripped. Yep, regardless, I 100% agree. WBO must be looking to double dip off Jamal. Yeah, probably, mate. It's all about money, sanctioning fees. So we'll see what happens there. Carl, they didn't strip Canelo when he fought Bivol, so I'm not surprised. These sanctioning bodies have no integrity at all. None at all, mate. None of them do, in reality. I know some are more stricter than others, but, mate, no integrity. WBC are top of the list. WBA probably a close second. Then you probably got the WBO and then IBF, I think, are the best at keeping to the protocols. But I don't know, mate. Nothing surprises me anymore. Adam, Lynden, you must be absolutely pumped to be heading to the USA for the upcoming fight. Shout out to my son, Brock. He loves your show too. Oh, mate, awesome. Really appreciate it, Adam. Yeah, no, I am, mate. Look, it's a bit of a quick turnaround. I went to, obviously, the Maloney boys fights a couple of months ago. Obviously, I was going to head over for the Tim Tszyu fight. I have a flight credit I have to use by end of September, so what better way to use it than to go over? And as I said, it's a little bit closer than what it normally is for me. I like to get over 2 or 3 times a year, but this is a bit close. Very, very lucky to have a very understanding wife, Adam, I will say. But that's but I am excited, mate. I'm really, really pumped actually to get to Oklahoma. I am going to do a little bit of touring around in between that fight and heading to Vegas for 4 or 5 days. I'm just going to get in the area, and you'll see some really good videos that are coming up. I won't let it out of the bag yet, but I'm going to do a little bit of filming around that part of the world. So, but I can't wait, mate. I can't wait to get to Vegas for Spence and Crawford. Obviously, this will be a massive fight, but yeah, as I said earlier in the show, catch up with Noonan Boy and Cambosa's team will be really good. I'm not sure if there's any other Aussies going over there. I'm assuming there won't be many in Shawnee, Oklahoma, but we'll see. Jules says, did you catch Akuso's interview with Esquire post on his Insta? There was a mention of Paris 2024. No, I didn't see that, Jules. I didn't see that, mate. Yeah, well, there you go. He's going to have enough fights under his belt, isn't he, to go back? Geez, that's another great move for Paul, I would think, as long as no limiter behind him. There, go back. I think he'd be a great shot at winning a gold medal in 2024, I would think. A lot more mature than last time. Obviously, had the pro fight, so that's a great option, I think, if he does that, Jules. Hopefully that's the case. Carl says, Batman Boxing is not fighting Liam Smith. I know that much. You've been on about that for a while, haven't you, Batman? I did see you on D-Style Boxing bring up the point again. I think they addressed it on that as well. So, all right, guys. Well, before we get more comments going, before we get into my list quickly of the fights I would like to see, we're not going to have a lot of time to go through it. Let's go over, if we get a chance at all, I want to go over the no limit fights. Okay, so I'm going to bring up the schedule that is up at the moment. They've got 4 fights. Let's start with this week. I'll go down there. So we mentioned before, Yusuf Dib, Miles Zaluski, good fight. And if you don't know about these fights, by the way, they're not pay-per-views. These are Fox, what are they? No limit on Fox. So don't get all upset, about the quality of fights, whatever that sort of stuff. They are 100% studio fights. Okay. So actually, what have I got there? So hang on, I've got a message. Josh, where are you, Josh? I missed your comment. Sorry, mate. Where's all the in a way Fulton excitement? I haven't even seen it advertised. No, good point, Josh. Yeah, 100%. So it's in a couple of weeks' time. Yeah, where is the excitement? We're certainly not seeing a lot online, are we? And even on all the boxing sites, there seems to be nothing. For what it's worth, I think Inoue gets the Inui. I'm going to call him Inoue. I think he gets the win. It'll be probably his toughest fight to date, though, Josh. Massive fight for him, and it'll be really interesting to see whether he can go up in weight like a Manny Pacquiao did and carry that power with him. I, for one, really probably don't see him stopping Fulton. I think he's a big, strong featherweight, is Stephen Fulton, and obviously he can fight. He's a champion. I'm going to put my money on Inouye in a close decision, I think, Josh, if that's the case. But 100%, mate, you've seen nothing at the moment, which is really strange and a shame. Hopefully maybe we get a little bit more. Now, is it on DAZN or one of those, Top Rank? I'm not sure, mate. Let us know in the comments. I better take that comment off of there. All right, so this week's fight. So again, guys, it's strictly for TV fights. Only get 500 or 600 people in there. You would have seen it with the Brock Jarvis show earlier in the year. It's almost like it's a football contract purely for TV. Really good card. I will say I really like the Yusuf Dib Miles Aluski card. I think Yusuf Dib wins that fight though. IBF Australasian title. Jack Brubaker, Troy O'Malley. Good to see Jack Brubaker back. Troy O'Malley. That'll be a good fight. I'll probably put my money on Brubaker in that one though. Really like Isaiah Seti up against Ankle Shooter. That'll be another really tough fight. Unfortunately, the one fight I don't think will be much to look at is the main event. Oh, there's Josh on the Inouye Fulton card, $30 on KO pay-per-view. Is that right? So I'll be on either main event or KO there, guys. So check it out. Yeah, Andy, Fulton versus Inouye should be lit 100%, mate. So, as I said, guys, the one fight I'm probably not overly looking forward to be honest with you, is Paulo Akuso and Reynold Quinlan. I can understand they want to get more and more wins into Paulo. Unfortunately, I know that they're building it up as, you know, they've had the highlights of him knocking Jack Bowen out all over social media. Unfortunately, I think it's a massive mismatch. Reynold Quinlan only fought a couple of weeks ago, I think it was. I'll bring up his record here. So he fought June 16th, so only a month ago. He was beaten by Lucas Miller by a wide margin. And unfortunately, you can see he had a little bit of a spurt in there. He beat Jack Bowen, Dylan White, and the Fiji in there. But look at the record before that. It's not great. Not great at all. And I just think Paulo Akuso, and look, I'm not trying to rubbish the card. They've got to put on content. This is maybe on short notice the best they could do. And credit to Reynold Quinlan. He fights anyone, anywhere, anytime. So full credit to him. I just think, as I said, guys, I just see this as being a real bad matchup. Reynold Quinlan is a tough guy. He's going to come to fight. He's going to give it his all. This has got 2 rounds written all over it. I'm sorry. I just have to call it as I see it. And as I said, no disrespect to anyone involved. I don't know the circumstances in trying to put these cards together so quick. We had a 1 week notice for this fight. So maybe it's just like, guys, we've got to get this going. Who's tough, durable, is going to come to fight on short notice? Well, as always, it's Reynold Quinlan. So I do take my hat off to him. I just really worry about his well-being in this fight, because if Paulo Akuso comes in the frame of mind of taking him out, it's not going to be good, I can tell you. It's going to be ugly. Jules says, keen to see City again after he beat Somerville half to death. Now, how he's only 1-1-1. Yeah, good call, Jules. 1-1-1. He's a good young fighter. And that was brutal with Campbell Somerville, who, good pedigree as well, Campbell Somerville. He had a really good record, really good fighter, Campbell Somerville, Commonwealth Games representative. And, he did a number. So, I'm looking forward to that as well. Jules, feel sorry for Reynolds. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be good there. Jules. But hopefully we're wrong. Look, he come to fight. Look, if he turns up super motivated, ready to go like he did against Jack Bowen, well, anything's possible. But Paulo Akuso, with all due respect to Jack Bowen, who's a great young talent, really, really good young fighter. Paulo Akuso is, as Noonan Boy would say, levels, I think, above Jack, although that fight could happen down the track. But, Paulo Akuso is an absolute gun and future world champion. So, I'm not real keen on that one, guys. Let's go down to the next one. We'll just skip through a few of the other fight nights. Just want to cover the no limit ones. When was it? There it is. In Hoops Capital East, Moore Park in Sydney. That other one I think was in Sydney as well. This is the all-girls card, female card. I know they're promoting it as the first all-female card. That's cool. Just a little bit of trivia for you. I actually promoted the first all-female amateur show 6 years ago. We did that at the Melbourne Park Function Centre, an amateur show, really good. I remember we had Sky Nicholson, Taylor Robinson, a few others fought that day as well. It was the prelude to the pros that night. I think the Maloney boys might have fought. So that was the all amateur or female amateur show. This is the first female professional shows. So you can see there, Taylor Harris 8-0-1 against Millicent. The girl this Agbo Bullen, who's 2-1-1 for the Australian Super Welterweight title. Ella Boot, Tawana Campbell, Angel Rushton, and Jessica Messina, all really, really good young prospects up against their opponents there. Oh, look, I think it's great. I think from No Limit, if they're looking at, if it's just strictly a TV event, and I'm not sure they get extra money maybe to promote the females. So I think it's awesome to give the females and all cards of themselves. I think it's great. And be interesting to see the ratings. And I would think if you're a boxing fan, check it out. I know there's a lot of people who won't watch it because it's females. I think these days females put on the best fights. I really do. They just go for it. I haven't seen we'll call them the B-side opponents. So we'll say Millicent Agbo Bullen, or the girls on the opposite side of Ella Boot, Tawana Campbell, Angel Rushton, and Jessica Messina. But you don't really see a lot of stoppages with the girls. So I think you'll see 5 really good fights there. So what do we got there? 16, 22, 32 rounds of boxing. So I think they only go for 3 hours, which is a really good time frame. I think these TV shows, I think they're great. Just 3 hours on a Wednesday night. Yep. From say 7 till 10 or 7:30 to 10:30. I think it's awesome. In between all the footy shows and the footy games, I think it's great to slot in between just to get a niche market. Let's go down to, that's interesting, isn't it? Gary Sinclair fighting in late July as well against Michael Hall. There you go. I didn't see that one. Haven't got time to go through all these guys. We'll go through, I'm just focusing on the No Limit shows at the moment. Isaac Harmon will fight Kazuki Kaihara. Isaac Harmon 13-2 up against Kazuki Kaihara, who's 6-1-3. So I don't know anything about the Japanese guy. I don't know anything about the guys on the card either. Actually, I do. Liam Taliva, heavyweight. He can bang a bit, so it'd be good to see him. I don't know anything about Monia. What is it? Fatih there. So, but I'm sure they'll add to that card anyway. But again, free to air that one if you've got KO or Foxtel. And then we go to the pay-per-view, which will be on August 23rd, I think it was. And you can see there, Nikita Tszyu, Liam Wilson. Hey, great foundations for a great card. Being a pay-per-view, I would hope that Liam Wilson's fighting a world-ranked opponent. Nikita Tszyu probably doesn't matter who he fights. It's going to be well-received and people will pay for it. I think they still need maybe one more, fighter on that card, I would think. I'm not quite sure. Maybe it's Sam Goodman or one of these types of guys. Who knows? But yeah, it's got the foundations of a good card, that one. But yeah, Carl will go. Is that right? Carl says another shit card from No Limit. I hope it's $59.99 again. Yeah, well, that'll be the Nikita Tszyu, Liam Wilson card, mate. Let's hope, as I said, they fight good opponents. But yeah, the other ones are all, if you've got Foxtel or KO, they'll be free. So yeah, so all good on that front. But it will be $60. You can count on that, Carl, or that pay-per-view. But who knows? Look, I would think Nikita Tszyu, I don't know. Let's see. He's in the rankings at the moment. Where's he super welterweight? I'm just trying to see there. Lewis Chadwick, Campbell Somerville, Fano Corey, ankle shooter. Could be a good opponent, although he's on this one, isn't he? Benjamin Bomber, we might not see him for a while. Adrian Rodriguez, I think it'll be a good fight. Tyson Best to be a good fight, although he's had a few issues with getting knocked out lately. Cameron Hammett, I don't think it's the right fight for him at the moment. Danilo Crady, I don't think they'll fight him. He's too awkward. Wade Ryan might be a good one. Dylan Biggs would be a massive fight for Nikita Tszyu. I think that's a really good one, although I'm not sure Ace Boxing and No Limit. Actually, they do get along. So maybe it might be too quick a turnaround, though, for Dylan Biggs. Victor Nagby, I think, might be a bit risky at this stage of his career. So I'm not sure. There. Carl, but who knows? Carl, again, any word on Liam Wilson's opponent? Or is that a massive secret as well? I've heard nothing on that, Carl, I will say. Benny Harrington does watch his show occasionally. So, mate, if you are watching, let us know. But, yeah, I'm not quite sure, mate. It's been kept very, very hush-hush at the moment. But I would say it'll be a really good international. I would think if they're going to charge us $60 to watch that card. Yes, nice pronunciation, Carl. Thank you. Jules, again, I believe Monir Fadi is with Billy Dibb. Apparently one to watch. Haven't seen Kazuki, but he's got a big job in front of him with Isaac. Yeah, well, Isaac said that no more mucking around. He's going to be in seek and destroy mode. and he's coming for, I don't know what's going on with my camera tonight, by the way. It keeps getting a bit fuzzy. But he's, no more Mr. Nice Guy with Isaac Hardman. And he is fighting a middleweight. I still can't believe, I will say, that he can't get a middleweight in Australia to fight. Let's go to the, where are we? Let's go to the rankings. Surely, where are we? Middleweight. Now, you got Alex Walters, who's the champion. You've got, well, Zarafa's already been done. He's not going to fight Singh again. Maybe Joel Camilleri. He's probably the only one. Benjamin Hussein, maybe. He's probably the only one. Maybe Wes Kappa. I think has he fought him? I don't think he has. So not a lot around for him, but surely, they could have got someone in Australia to fight him. Just don't get it. Or even a super welterweight to come up. On that list, I think Mahoney is the only one that could cause Nikita trouble with slick US style. I think Nikita walks through the rest. Yeah, I agree, mate. He's only going to get better too. Only going to get better. All right, well, that's the no limit fights, guys. I'm going to quickly go through these fights, I will say, and I'll get my predictions. Next time I do the show, we'll do a bit of a follow-up. We'll go over them again, and you can tell us what you think. All right, here we go. So if I can get this camera right, I don't know what's going on with it, to be honest. Probably because I'm in and out so much. All right, guys, I've got about 5 or 10 minutes to go through these. Let's see. All right, my heavyweight dream fight, I will say. The best one in Australia, and it's not going to happen. Justice Honey, Dempsey McKean. One is with Tasman Fighters. The other is with Ace Boxing. I really can't see them two parties getting together. And the other thing is they're on separate paths. One, both on the ways to hopefully world title shots down the track. So that's the dream fight. Justice Honey, Dempsey McKean. If they did fight, my money is on Justice Honey every day of the week. But I would love to see that fight. So again, put your comments in there. We'll go over it next show. But Justice Honey, I think, beats Dempsey McKean. But that for me is the best fight on the horizon. D-Style Boxing. How are you, mate? Good morning to you as well. What time is it over there at the moment? Let's have a look. Is it about... is it about 6 o'clock in the morning? 6:30 in the morning, mate? Good on you, mate. I know you work some weird hours. Just saying, D-Style, I'm going to be over your neck of the woods. I'm heading over on Wednesday. I'll be over for the double header. George Kambosos and Maxie Hughes in Oklahoma. I got no idea where Shawnee, Oklahoma is, but I'm driving from Dallas to Shawnee. So I don't know where I'm going to. I know it's a 3-hour drive, and then heading to Vegas for Spence and Crawford. So all good, mate, and great show. If you don't follow D-Style Boxing, guys, make sure you follow him. You can see there on YouTube some of the best boxing content on the net. So check that out. All right, let's go to cruiserweight. Look, the dream fight is Jaya Pataya, Floyd Masson. Again, I don't think that's going to happen. They're on separate paths. One's with Ace Boxings, one with Tasman Fighters as well. It's not going to happen. If they did fight, look, Jaya Pataya is going to beat everyone in the world, not just Australia. So I think he wins that one. But another one on the horizon that maybe could happen is Floyd Masson, Jason Waitley. That's a really good fight as well. I think Floyd Masson wins that fight. But the Opataya Masson fight can't happen. I like Floyd Masson, Jason Waitley as maybe the number 2. So, but so Opataya to beat Masson. I think Masson beats Jason Waitley. But either way, D-Style, 4:30 in the morning. Jeez, mate. Hey, mate, I appreciate you coming on, getting ready for work. All right, super middleweights. The best fight for me, I think, is Mateo Tapia, Rowan Murdoch. It is obviously, again, not going to happen because they're both managed by MJA Platinum in Mike Altamura. Another one you could maybe throw in the mix is a Jade Mitchell, but Jade, I think, has got more battles on his hands to get himself right physically. I think he needs to be a bit more proactive, and he had that loss in his last fight. So D-Style on that. I have no clue where Shawnee or whatever he's called either. You might see some real life Cowboys. I hope so, mate. I'm going to jump in the car. As I said, I'm driving from Dallas to Shawnee, Oklahoma. It's about 45 minutes out of Oklahoma City. So I was contemplating flying to Oklahoma. I thought it's only a 3-hour drive I'm going to go. Then I'm going to drive from there as well. But I know it's got about 100,000 people that there. I don't know. Maybe you can shed some light, mate. Why is Top Rank putting fights on in the middle of nowhere? I thought Stockton was in the middle of nowhere. Shawnee, Oklahoma. But I don't think George cares. He just wants to fight and get the win. But anyway, maybe they've got contracts with certain cities, but certainly is an odd one, I'll tell you. All right, so yeah, super middleweight. As I said, Jade Mitchell might be an option, but I think Mateo Tapia and Rowan Murdoch is the one there. Jack Bowen, if he gets a few more fights under his belt, you can maybe put in the mix as well. But again, also managed by Mike Altamura. So none of those fights seem to be happening. I can't really see a half-decent fight apart from that. But we'll see what happens. Down to the middleweights. All right. Now, this is another hard one. I know we could probably go back to Zarafa Hardman, a rematch at some stage. Ain't going to happen. I've taken Zarafa out of the mix because he's on the way to the world title. And apart from Tim Tszyu, there's no other Aussies he's going to fight. The other one I've put in there, depends on what... I've got Isaac Hardman in there. I bought an asterisk beside Brock Jarvis. Depends on what he wants to do. If he wants to go out to middleweight, that is a really good fight. And contrary to what a lot of people think, I think Brock carries the weight really well, and I think he gives Isaac a really tough fight. I think that's a pick and fight. However, we don't know what Brock's doing, whether it's going to be welterweight, junior middleweight, whatever how he's going to do. Apart from that, I would say a fight I would like to see is Isaac Hardman, Joel Camilleri. KO. I think that's a really good fight. I think that's a really tough fight for Isaac Hardman. Joel Camilleri is very, very awkward. He's tough. He gave Tim Tszyu a really good fight. I know it was 4 years ago, but I think that's a really good fight at middleweight. Apart from that, I don't see Alex Walters in the mix. Singh maybe, but I think that's a really good, entertaining fight. Maybe Benjamin Hussein at some stage, but if you've got to put me down to that one, I would say Isaac Hardman, Joel Camilleri. D-Style Australia versus a UK dude in Oklahoma, mate. It makes sense not, doesn't it? It's ridiculous. Are they going to get a crowd? Will boxing fans there come to see an Australian fight someone from England? It just doesn't make sense. Anyway, we'll see what happens. All right, down to the super welterweight. So the 140-pounders. There's a lot to actually pick here. Daniel Hill is, Dylan Biggs is the champion. I think if you're going to pick, I think there's a lot of good fights, as I said. But I've come down to Cohen Mazzutia. I know you've probably got the rematch with Mazzutia and Ben Mahoney, I will say. That's probably my first preference, but who knows what's going to happen there. If it's not that one, I like Cohen Mazzutia and Dylan Biggs. I haven't put Nikita Tszyu in there, by the way. I just think it's probably a little bit early. Nikita Tszyu against any of these guys. Mazzutia, Biggs, Marnie, Nagby, so many guys you could probably put him in there with, but it's probably a little bit early. But I would say Mazzutia, Dylan Biggs would be a really good fight for the Australian title, or Ben Mahoney and Dylan Biggs would be a really good one as well. So, but lots to throw in there. I mean, you got Wade Ryan, you got Creati, you've got Cameron Hammond. There's a lot of good fighters in there, but that's my pick is Mazzutia and Biggs or Mahoney. All right, D-Style. El Paso is a good 14 hours drive from Dallas. Holy shit. I've been to Dallas before. Loved it there. That was awesome. But, yeah, I'll only be there for a couple of hours and I'm driving up to Shawnee. I've had to look it up on the map to see where it is, mate. So, Shawnee, Oklahoma. Anyway, all right, down to the welterweights. Now, this is an interesting one. The one fight I've come up with, apart from before I said we're talking about John Manu, I'd like to see him fight Jacob Wiley. I think that'd be a really good fight. However, the big one for me, how about Hassan Hamdan, Ben Horn for a fight for the Australian welterweight title? I really like that one. Actually, I'll just backtrack a bit. I would pick Mazzutia over Biggs as well, by the way. And I would pick Marnie over Mazzutia, just to clarify that. And Hardman over Camilleri. All right, so a welterweight, I've gone for Hassan Hamdan, Ben Horn. Hassan Hamdan wins the fight, but Ben Horn, as we've seen, real spoiler. I think that will be a really good, tough fight. So that's a welterweight one. At super lightweight, the dream fight, of course, is Liam Paro, Stevie Spark. Isn't going to happen. However, if that one doesn't happen, probably take Liam Paro out of the mix. He's focused on the world scene at the moment. How about Stevie Spark and Kane Clark? I think it'd be a really good fight as well. Or Stevie Spark, Yusuf Dib might be another one. Or Stevie Spark, Darragh Foley. So, but if I had to pick one, I'd like to see Kane Clark and Stevie Spark. Again, with Liam Paro out of the mix. Down to the lightweights. My sort of dream fight at lightweight would be Jalen Tate and Harry Garside. Now, it doesn't look like it's going to happen in the meantime because Harry Garside is over doing the amateur thing at the moment with his eyes on Paris 2024. Jalen Tate's obviously just gone to the States as well, but that would be my dream fight. But one for the old timers, I will say, that never really happened that would be really good, would be Luke Jackson. I know he's campaigning as a lightweight now, I think, against Nathaniel May. I would love to see that fight. There's been talk over the years that they might fight at featherweight, then super featherweight, both getting towards the end of their careers. I would love to see, if we can't get Harry Garside, Jalen Tate, Luke Jackson and Nathaniel May. I think that would be a great fight. as far as the fights go, I think Harry Garside beats Jalen Tate, and I think Luke Jackson beats Nathaniel May. All right. As far as super featherweights go, hang on. What have we got there, D-Star? Pretty sure an Indian reservation casino paid top ranks and decent money for the fight. 99% sure that's what it is. Okay. Is it a casino? There's the Fire Lake Arena. It is. Is that at the casino? I'm not sure. Yeah, I'll be there anyway, D-Style, wherever it is. I think it's got about 100,000 people. I'm not sure I said that before. About 100,000 people live there. So, hopefully they get a bit of a crowd there. I'm sure they will. I'm not quite sure the size of the arena, but I suppose, yeah, we'll soon see. All right, at super featherweight, my dream fight for that one, I'm not sure again it'll happen. I'd like to see Liam Wilson up against Bruno Tarimo. I think that would be a really, really good fight. I tend to sort of do this a little bit as the divisions go down, and we'll say, guys, not a deep pool, but I would love to see Liam Wilson versus Bruno Tarimo. I think Liam Wilson would win that fight. But another one that's just sort of coming up that I'd be really excited to see, and there is 100% a possibility it could happen, Dana Coolwell and Rocky Ogden. I know there's talk with Dana Coolwell and Luke Boyd. Whether they fight a rescheduled fight, I'm not sure. As I said earlier, I think Luke Boyd beats Dana Coolwell. But as I said, Dana Coolwell and Rocky Ogden would be a really, really good fight as well. I would probably have my money on Dana Coolwell to beat Rocky Ogden. Good young talent, but I think Dana Coolwell has the goods to beat Rocky Ogden. And the last one, it's a bit of a grasping at straws a bit. This is the two up-and-coming little superstars, I think, is at featherweight. I've got Vegas Larfield with Eric the Viking Sokolov. He'd have to come up from super bantamweight to fight, but really good fight of two young prospects, Vegas Larfield, Eric Sokolov. I think that would be a ripper fight. I think Vegas Larfield would get a win in a very, very, very close fight. So that's my most appealing Aussie fights, guys. As I said before, have a bit of a think about it. We'll go back over them next time and we'll get your opinion on who you thought would win. But we're just a little bit stuck for time here, guys. D-Style. If a casino didn't pay for it, then I have no clue why it's there, mate. I'm with you. Yeah, I don't have a clue either, mate. What do we got there? Rich Phoenix, welcome to the show, mate. Is that I don't know what that is. Pink way, whatever that is. Yep, nice to have you on the show, mate. Welcome to Talking Boxing. So, guys, that's it for me this week. As I said, no show for 2 weeks. But make sure you check out my daily vlogs. Actually, we've got a comment before we go. Lynden, what's your dream fight? If you can move one fighter, one weight division, I'd go Akuso Opetaya. Mate, I have to agree with you, to be honest. I would have to 100% agree. I think maybe Liam, what do we got there? Liam Paro, super. Yeah, no, look, I don't mind that, mate. I don't mind that at all. So Liam Wilson, I'd have to go over it, mate. But, mate, you can't go past Akuso and Opetaya. That, I couldn't tell you. You'd probably go for Opetaya now because, obviously, at cruiserweight. Big jump, I will say, from light heavy to cruiserweight. What is it, 15 pounds? 15 pounds. Or 25 pounds, sorry. 175 to 200. But, yeah, look, what a fight that would be. In another 12 to 18 months' time, holy shit, that would be a ripper. Yeah, it would be awesome. All right, guys. So, yeah, as I said, off on Wednesday to George Kambosos and Maxie Hughes in Oklahoma, and then off to Vegas. So I will keep the vlogs up every single day. They'll be probably on about 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time in Australia. So keep a lookout for them and all. Follow us on Instagram. Keep my live sort of updates as well. I'll keep the photos coming. As I said earlier, I have got press credentials for the George Kambosos fight, so should get some really good vision of the weigh-in and the press conference and all that sort of stuff. Not allowed to get any footage at the fight itself, which is not great. I've got to sit there and be quiet at the fight night, but yeah. But anyway, we'll see what happens there. Ross, Fire Lake Arena, 5,000 seats. Not sure how many it will lose for the ring. 5,000. Are they going to get 5,000 there? Well, who knows? So the good thing about, well, we'll say in the States, and I'm sure D-Style will back me up on this, the really good thing about it is they're fight fans and they go to an event, not particularly to support maybe the fighter. Like when in Stockton, you had the Russian up against the Canadian, And then in the main event, and you had Jason, the Australian, up against the Filipino, and the place was pretty much full. I think they had like 6, 7, 8,000 people there. The locals of Stockton went to support the fights. Will the town of where is it, Shawnee, Oklahoma, be the same? Anyone's guess, but I would think that the boxing fans over there will turn up and support a night of fights. Unlike in Australia, I think over there they will. So fingers crossed. Either way, I'll be there. I don't care. And I'll be touring around having a ball. So thanks, Jules. All the best, mate. And yeah, I'm not sure what the vlogs from Shawnee will look like, but we'll see. You'll have all the first. I will say the first day will be a little bit boring because it'll be all travelling. But after that, it should heat up a little bit. But a little bit of fun. We've had great feedback about the vlogs I put up for the Maloney one. If you haven't seen it, go to YouTube and check them out. I think there was about 12 or 13 days that we put the vlogs up. So. Thanks again, guys. Really appreciate everyone watching. We're getting more and more each week. It's great. A really good viewership. Subscriptions are going up as well. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you do now. And it helps with algorithms and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, really, again, appreciate all your support. All right, guys, until a couple of weeks, look forward to seeing you then. And have a good week. Catch you next time.